Hello. Today's topic is filing a complaint. So, in this topic, you would have already sent them a letter requesting no calls. Um, so that's right here. Make collection agency stop calling you on the website, which is listed in the directory. And you would have sent them a letter, which is asking them not to do any further calls. Right? But that doesn't mean that they haven't already broken the rules. Chances are, if they threaten to sue you, or if they've used language, either yelling or any kind of language that's not appropriate, calling you too often, or even you sent them the letter and they're still calling you, it's time to make a complaint with your agency. So every province has their own complaint system, and it's all through the Consumer Affairs Office for each individual province. So on the website, you can see we've listed all the provinces and territories and where to make a complaint. And if you're in the United States, we also have the Fair Debt Protections Act, and we've also got listed where to make a complaint if you do live in the United States. So for Canada, let's give a random province. Let's say you're in Manitoba. The number, the website, the email, everything's right there. In some cases, they've got a form already printed out online. So they've got a form already made up that you can print out and send in for the complaint. And in other provinces, you just have to call the phone number and start the complaint process that way. But every province that there's a form, I've already put a link to it. So it has everything filled out where you're sending it. And just to go over it, let's say we were doing a complaint for somebody in Ontario. If you haven't already, if this is a new complaint, which obviously it probably is, you're going to leave this blank. Did you write a complaint letter to the business? So when you send in your original letter to the collection agency, so I have it right here, you're going to ask them to stop all further correspondence, and you're also going to ask them for your original signed contract and date of last payment. So as long as you've already done that, you can go ahead and file the complaint. And go back to that complaint form. And then we say if you have any supporting documents. So this could be letters that they've sent you. I've told everybody to start logging every time they call you. Every time they've called you too often, or they hang up and you hang up and they call you back. Anytime that they've been aggressive or threatened to sue, keep basically a recording of everything that's happening and send that all in with your complaint. So then here you can put a detailed description, or you can attach another page. Collection agency is calling, harassing me, is calling multiple times a day, is calling my work, is calling my relatives, blah, 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 blah. And then this is all the information for the collection agency that's doing this. It's really hard sometimes to get the information from collectors, because they'll call with a blocked number and they'll refuse to tell you who they're working for. However, you can call in 411 and ask them who the last person that called is, and they'll be able to get you the number. So if they try and pull some of these tactics, try and get the information out of them anyway. If they call you and they say, oh, you owe this, blah, 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 well, what company are you working for? I need to know as much info from them. If they're not calling you from a blocked number, what you can do is just take the number that they give you, right? 9530300, just putting a random number in there. But if that was a collection agency's phone number, it would come up with all their information. And again, you're going to need their address also for sending them the do not call letter. So you should have this information. Another thing that they're not allowed to do is they're not allowed to call you until they've already sent you something by mail, right? And in some cases, they might not have your right address, so they might have sent it somewhere else. But when you answer the phone and you haven't gotten that letter yet, legally they're not supposed to talk to you. All you can say, well, I haven't received anything from you. And you can give them two options: either give me the address over the phone, or send the letter to my right address. If you don't want to give them your right address, ask them for their address. Ask them for the agency they're working with. Asking them for as much information as you can out of them, and then tell them that you're going to be sending a do not call letter and you do not want any further calls, and just hang up. They're not allowed to call you back. Alright, so this is in case you this is a standard form for pretty much any business that they're dealing with. So in this case, you're looking at a collection agency. I would probably put not applicable collection agency. And the agreement formed, this is when you originally applied for your loan or whatever debt they're trying to collect for. Again, this is just so they have the client's information too. A lot of times collection agencies will try and do all these things, but they don't want you to tell their client, because the client is the one giving them the business. And when you call the client and file a complaint with them, the collection agency gets in trouble. So let's try this call again. Ring, ring, ring. But you answer the phone. Who is this? And they say, oh, is this John Smith? You can say, well, I need to know the name of who's calling, the company that you work for, and the address before I'm going to say anything further. And if they refuse to give you that information, tell them that you're going to *69 it. Tell them that they've broken the law by refusing to identify themselves, and hang up on them. So that's really about it. Once you've got all this filled out, so this is the original creditor. So if they have sent you that letter, or if they did tell you in one of the calls before you learned to tell them to not call you anymore and send the do not call letter, this would be the client that they're working for. So it could be CIBC, could be for any company that sent them the debt. And in some cases, if they're an agency where they bought the debt, on the original page of the website, we go over how the collection agency system works. So there's a tier system. How collection agencies work. The collection agency tier system. In most cases, the first thing that will happen when a debtor doesn't pay a debt to a creditor, it'll go into arrears. If he is still in arrears after 90 days, the debt will be transferred to the creditor's in-house, where they will try and get the debtor to pay the past due and get him back into either good standing all at once, or by making payments, or taking payment arrangements. If the debt fails to follow through with the payment arrangements. Okay, so anyway, the way the collector system works is, let's say you're 90 days behind, At that point, they'll either move it into in-house collections where the creditor is trying to call you and get you back into good standing, or they'll send it to a collection agency. Usually by the time they send it to a collection agency, it's already a bad debt, so it's already been listed on your credit bureau that it's gone to a collection agency. There's very little you can do to change that. You can get them to update your credit saying that you've paid or settled the bill. You can send in a letter to the collection agent, to the credit bureaus, saying that you dispute the letter. So again, on how to make collectors stop calling you. There's letters already here for you. These are to update the credit bureau, so that would be in any case. So if you're telling them that the debt is in dispute, you can send a letter to both Equifax and TransUnion and get it updated on your credit bureau that that debt is in dispute, right? You would do the same thing if it was a fraud or any other form of debt where you never took out the payment. And one thing that I go over a lot is asking the collection agency for the original contract that's signed by you. A lot of the time, this information is lost. So when you get a call from a collection agency, get their information, find out what agency they are, find out what their address is, then send them this letter saying that they can't call you anymore, and at the same time ask them for your original contract and the date of last payment, right? After that, you're going to request your Equifax and your TransUnion, and the point of doing all this is to find out if the debt is past the statute of limitations, meaning it's not collectible anymore. So if you haven't made a payment after so many years, depending on which province you're in, you won't have to pay the debt anymore, right? Because it's now statute bar past the statute of limitations. So that's how you check. So let's say you got your credit bureau and it said that the debt was opened in 2000, you stopped paying in 2005, you live in Ontario. That means in 2007 it was no longer collectible, right? So that's really good to know. There's 3 provinces where it's 2 years: Alberta, Ontario, actually there's a few of them now: Alberta, Newfoundland and Labrador, Ontario, and Saskatchewan. And the rest of the provinces, it's not valid after 6 years. But when you send them the do not call letter and you ask them for your original signed contract, you're going to know then when it was you got the loan. If in fact it is your loan, if they can't prove it's your loan, there's nothing they can do. It's not valid anymore. If it's already off of your credit bureau, when you get your credit bureau, that's another sign that it's already past the statute of limitations, meaning you don't owe this bill anymore. So just to recap, if you want to file a complaint, all the agency for each province is listed. You just got to click the province that you want. There'll either be a form that you just have to print out, or there'll be a phone number that you can send in. And they're on every province. And some of these provinces I have more than one page for. It's because on each page, all the rules that the agencies have to follow is listed. So this way you know if they've broken any rules, you can check, oh, in Ontario, they're not allowed to call my relatives. They're pretty much not allowed to call anyone other than you and talk about the debt in any province. So that alone is a reason to file a complaint. But we'll go into more detail in the next call.